So we got, what form? They gave you what? They gave you factored form, right? So how do you get factored form to another form, standard form? We're going to simplify. X plus 1, 2x minus 5. I do want to note that it's not wrong if you did negative 4 to each of those and then you did binomials times binomials. Not wrong. 2x squared minus 5x, 2x, negative 5. 2x squared, negative 3x minus 5. Distribute. Negative 8x squared plus 12x plus 20. Raise your hand if you got that. Alright. That was an easy one, right? Oh, help us. Alright. Buckle your seatbelts. Negative 8x squared plus 12x plus 20. Let's just say you haven't been here the past couple of days, or you've checked out, or you're doodling or talking too much in class. I'm going to move this 20, not to the other side of the equation, but just kind of over. And then I'm going to factor out a negative 8. Negative 8 times x squared. I'm going to put this box here. And you might be asking, why did I put a box here? Because I need negative 8 times something equals 12x. So I'm going to do a side problem. Negative 8 times this box equals 12x. Well, if I just divide by negative 8 on both sides, my negative 8s will cancel. You're left with a box equals 4 times 3 times x, and negative 4 times negative 2. So my box is equal to negative 3 over 2x. Raise your hand if you got that. So you'll notice as you climb the higher math world, you keep doing all these side problems in order actually to do the problem. So there I'm going to have negative 3 halves x. Now I'm going to do the part where we have to complete the square. Let's do it that way. CTS b over 2 squared. Class, what's my b value? Inside the parentheses, it's negative 3 halves. So negative 3 halves divided by 2 squared. I'm going to write my fraction sideways. Negative 3 halves, okay, pay attention, divided by 2. A lot of students will say divided by 1/2, and that would be incorrect. Class, the division sign turns into multiplication. The reason why we were talking about that yesterday, dividing by 2 is the same thing as multiplying by 1/2. Dividing by 2 is the same thing as multiplying by 1/2. Make this a 2 over 1. That changes to multiplication, and then you flip that. And then when you're multiplying fractions, negative times a positive is a negative. Then you multiply across, 3 times 1, 2 times 2, you get negative 3/4 squared. Negative 3/4 times negative 3/4, that's what the power of 2 means. Class, negative times negative? 3 times 3, 4 times 4. To complete the square, you have to add 9 over 16. Raise your hand if you got that. Good. So if I put positive 9/16 way back up there, let's just double check. Class, yellow plus purple has to equal what number? 0. Class, should I put negative 9/16 here? No. We talked about how you can distribute to kind of figure out what goes there. So let's distribute together. Negative a times x squared. Negative a times negative 3/2 x. Now, if you don't know, you could just do another side problem, like we're running out of side problem space. Negative a times negative 8 over 1 times negative 3/2. Class, negative times a negative? So we know it's positive. 8 times 3. 1 times 2. So that just really becomes what? 12x. And we already knew that from above. Does that make sense? Okay. This part's new. Negative a times 9/16. Negative 8 times 9/16. I'm going to cross cancel because 8/16 is really 8 times 2. Yes? I can cancel my 8s. And we get what? What does all that become? Negative times a positive? Negative 9 over 2. So here I get negative 9/2. Class, what's the opposite of negative 9/2? Positive 9/2. So this number is positive 9/2. Okay, let's just keep adding here. Almost done. 20 over 1. To make this a common denominator, I'm going to multiply both numbers by 2 over 2. So you're multiplying the number by 1. So this will become 9/2 plus 40 over 2. And then 9 plus 40 gives us what? 49 over 2. Over here, don't get lost in the mess. This is negative 8 two numbers that multiply to be 9/16, but they add to be negative 3/2. Remember that number's already on your paper, somewhere over here. Put your finger on it. Negative 3/4. Negative 3/4 times negative 3/4 gives you positive 9/16. But if you add those two together, you get negative 6/4, which reduces to negative 3/2. Does that make sense? So let's put in negative 3/2 here. Come back in there. And so our answer is going to be y equals negative 8x minus 3/2 squared plus 49 over 2. Yeah. Repeat the thing about the 3/2. I need two numbers that multiply to be 9/16 but add to be negative 3/2. Well, saying that there's a clue on here. The clue is the number you're going to square in green. If I take those two numbers, remember when you're subtracting or adding fractions, you only focus on the numerator. Negative 3 minus 3 is negative 6. And negative 6/4 reduces to negative 3/2. To prove to you that these are the two numbers. So we went from factored to standard to vertex form. That should have been negative 3/4. So that should have been negative 3/4. All right, questions? Yeah.
I love math. You don't love math? What's wrong with you?